Breaking news tonight, live, California. A beautiful girl described by everyone as timid, shy, a homebody. Just graduates nursing school, then goes missing from the local Barnes & Noble bookstore. Tonight, why do cops get DNA from the parents?
Fong Li's mother pleads for her daughter to come home, saying she believes the 24-year-old who just passed her state nursing boards 2 weeks ago must have been kidnapped.
24-year-old nursing student Fong Li left home about 4 o'clock on Sunday. Hours and hours and hours had passed. Her family became concerned.
Fong left home headed for the Barnes & Noble in Fairfield. It was her favorite spot when she was in nursing school. A witness saw her there around 8:30 p.m. She never returned home that night.
Fong Li's own brother found her sister's car in the parking lot. Her cell phone and backpack were found in the trunk. No sign of the sister.
She's never been out overnight before.
Fong Li says he called the Sassoon City Police Department, who responded to the Fairfield bookstore. They didn't immediately impound the car or take a missing persons report. They didn't even turn over the case to the Fairfield Police Department for nearly 48 hours.
We feel that the system might have failed us in this case, or failed Fong in this case, because just because of the time delay. We don't know what happened.
And tonight, live, Jacksonville. He shows up to church like he does every Sunday, getting there early to play drums in the choir. But what the congregation doesn't know is he just decapitated his mother, put the head in a bag, and still made it to the early service.
Florida police have arrested a Jacksonville man accused of beheading his own mother.
Jamar Henry severed his mother's head from her body, according to police.
Headless body found inside her own home.
Beheaded by her own son, according to deputies.
Then going to church hours later with blood literally still on his hands.
Henry severed his mother Jennifer Ling's head from her body with a steak knife, and then disposed of his mother's head in a plastic bag across the street from her house.
According to authorities, Henry arrived in church with blood on and under his fingernails.
Those who know Henry say they have no idea why he would decapitate his mother's head with a steak knife.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. I want to thank you for being with us. Bombshell tonight. A beautiful girl described as timid, shy, a real homebody. Just graduates nursing school, then goes missing from the local Barnes & Noble's bookstore. Tonight, why do cops get the DNA from her parents?
It's just really odd. This is just really odd. This is not right. Something's wrong.
On Sunday, Lee's brother says his sister left the house about 4 in the afternoon. Her brother says he didn't worry until several hours passed and she didn't come home.
Most of the time, when she took off, she usually go to Barnes & Noble.
Monday morning at 4 a.m., her brother says he found her car in the parking lot with the windows down and her purse, cell phone, and wallet in the trunk.
Fairfield police say they are prepared for the worst-case scenario, that this could be a stranger abduction. So they have dedicated significant resources to this case.
We have only one witness at this time that has put her at Barnes & Noble. Said that they saw her studying over at Barnes & Noble.
Well, on Tuesday, the Sassoon City Police Department, which is where Fong Li lives, got together with the Fairfield Police Department, where this bookstore is located, and they are collaborating with this case.
At her home, police went through her room, taking credit cards, a digital camera, her passport, and even her social security card. Meaning if this young woman wanted to run away, why would she leave everything behind?
We are taking your calls live straight out to Henry K. Lee, reporter with San Francisco Chronicle, author of Presumed Dead, a true life murder mystery. Henry, what's the latest? I know police in the last hours have had a press conference.
That's right, Nancy. I was at that news conference in Fairfield, east of San Francisco. No signs of Fong Li still at this time. No signs of foul play. All they know is that she has been missing, and they have taken DNA samples from her parents in the event of a development. What we do know is that they have no idea who might want to harm her, so it is a completely open case, Nancy.
Okay, let's go back over the facts now. Henry Lee, you're telling me they got DNA from the parents, not because they suspect the parents of any wrongdoing, but because if they find suspicious DNA, they want to be able to compare it back to the parents to try to match it to Lee?
That's right. This is a standard investigative
Okay, wait
technique.
a minute. Hold on. Why didn't they get her DNA from the home? Toothbrush, razor, a million ways. Soda cans she left in the refrigerator. There's a million ways to get her actual DNA. Did they do that?
I'm pretty sure they did, Nancy, but they're not telling us. That is all standard for police to do, to take DNA samples from close family members, and we'll see where that leads us.
Okay, Henry K. Lee, joining us live from San Francisco. I want to talk about when and how she disappeared. Go back through it with me. Everybody, the tip line, 707-428-7345. This young girl just graduates nursing. She's absolutely gorgeous. She spends a lot of time studying for her nursing boards there at the local Barnes and Nobles. Now, how many times, let's see the outside of that, Rosie, in full, please. How many times do you go there and there's, 50, 100 people milling around. They're eating pastries, they're drinking that specialty coffee, they're reading. They're not buying anything, I'm sure, but they're all congregating there. You'd think the group at Barnes & Noble is not the group you got to be afraid of, okay? Am I right about that? Henry Lee, she goes to Barnes & Nobles. Did she buy anything? Do we have a receipt?
They are not telling us what they found, and unbelievably, Nancy, they could not find her on surveillance tape inside the cafe, the Starbucks cafe inside
Okay.
Barnes & Noble.
Stacey Newman, our producer on the story. If police are not telling us whether there's a receipt, then there's not a receipt, all right? Because that's one of the first things they put out there to try to establish a timeline. We can place her here, buy her receipt at 8:30 p.m. Yes, no?
True, Nancy, but remember, cops are keeping a lot of things close to the vest as they normally do in investigations. As a matter of fact, in that news conference, they did say they were doing a lot of things behind the scenes that family did not know about. So there could actually be a fact that there is a receipt, and they're just not letting us know that.
I had somebody talking in my ear. Repeat. I missed you on the last two sentences.
No, what I was saying is normally in an investigation, cops do keep things close to the vest. Now, in that presser today, they did say that they were working a lot of things behind the scenes the family did not even know about. So there actually could be a receipt, Nancy, and they're just not telling us that right now.
Back to Henry K. Lee. We're taking your calls. Henry, let's go out to Kim in North Carolina. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? And what's your question?
I first had a comment to let you know that I'm 41 years young, and I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Well, honey, I got 10 years on you and one twin. But let me ask you something. You've got two. Do they stay in the same room?
No.
Mine are in the same room. They don't want to be separated, but it's causing a lot of problems at nap time. Okay, Kim, what's your question?
You kind of answered one, and that was I wanted to know, was there surveillance in Barnes & Noble? And my second question was, why did they wait 48 hours to report her missing?
Excellent question. Let's go to her brother. Hung Lee is with us. Mr. Lee, thank you for being with us. Why the delay in reporting your sister missing?
The delay was because one of the officers told me that my sister was over 21, she's an adult, she's 25, she's an adult, so the condition that is missing it was not even overnight yet, so it's not critical. So
oh, Mr. Lee, that is bad. And typically, having been on the side of the state, I side with the state. But to tell him that, out to Tom Shamshak, former cop, private investigator, instructor, Boston University. Tom, they said she's over 21. She's not missing. She could be out at a bar somewhere. What the hey?
Nancy, good evening. Nancy, unfortunately, that's the refrain that a lot of families hear. There is no uniform standard similar to what happens when a child goes missing. The NCIC requirement to enter that into the system immediately. That's a problem in this country.
To Henry K. Lee, San Francisco Chronicle. Henry, how much time did we lose?